Welcome to the Bachelor Universe podcast. I am your host, Jim Alexander, and today I am going to recap the finale of The Bachelorette. So, the big moment was upon us. Kaitlyn Bristowe was going to pick between Nick Vale or Shawn Schnozling, or Shawn B as they called him. I call him Schnozling because he's got a big nose and looks like Ryan Gosling, so makes sense. The episode kind of started off, they did things differently this season. For whatever reason, they really changed things around in this season of The Bachelorette. And they had really, late overnights. They had a family. They didn't even have hometowns, really. They just had two of the guys meeting the parents. And that's how it kind of came out. So it was really interesting how they did it this year, and not sure why they actually changed it up, but they did. So this episode, of course, it picked up with Chris Harrison live in studio from LA, talking about the big dramatic ever. The guy needs to lay off the drama because it's not there. So, I mean, they've been definitely scaling back on the costs of production. So, would they do this? So Kaitlyn meets up with her family. That's how the show began. Her sister, who absolutely looks nothing like Kaitlyn, there and all whatnot, because the parents are divorced. And Nick is one of them. The family's caught by surprise, to say the least. They didn't expect. I've been watching the previous season because they were just not fans of Nick. And not to mention the mother. Mother was not approving of Nick, so they were this season or crashed it, and he was kind of she did talk up Shawn to them, and they seemed kind of impressed. Now is the moment that they meet the guys. The first question to him was, "Why are you here, Nick?" Which was pretty legitimate, if you ask me. Out for Kaitlyn this time as opposed to an experience is what he came out apparently for. I guess there was some truth to Nick right there. So Mom, that was definitely interesting as she just laid into the other guy. Possessive, jealous, all these qualities, not good ones, that she saw from him, seeing him. So wow, rapid fire, hard hitting questions to the. But of course, being the other guy, he managed to hoodwink her and bamboozle her minutes later that he's not a bad guy, and just talk his way out of things, which he actually had a good feeling about Nick. That's what he came away with. Don't know how to give their approval as they usually do. And Kaitlyn, the other guy, make out in front of. So now is the Schnoz's time. Schnozling gets to meet the family. For Kaitlyn's sister's kids. Way to endear yourself. So points, I'm sure, with the fam. The family right away took into him. I think anyone right away a good point for him that he won him over pretty easily. His mom needs to get down to business with these guys and find out what they really want. An exclusive relationship with Kaitlyn, that the jealousy will go away. If it was that easy, anytime a guy looks at her, even when they're together, if they end up together with the other guy, that was a bit awkward. So then she sees such a connection between them, and that they really. So both parents give the blessing for the Schnoz to kudos and credit to him for doing that, as he's definitely planning that. And then some alone time with Kaitlyn's coming up next before she makes the big decision. A boat ride with some wine, and he of course things with her, and I think that's what he told Andy too. I'm actually pretty positive he did. Nighttime comes around, and they share a drink. Um, she in New York. Um, so the other guy takes her to the hotel room, and the album has pictures and notes and poems about his feelings for her. Guy, you need to really start amping up your game and changing things around, not just. So yeah, shameless creation once again to endear himself. But Nick doing Nick. That's what it was. I'm just curious where he gets following him around, just taking snapshots for Nick's collection. He seems to always have a trying to be with on The Bachelor. So Nick must have a photographer start making out. Kaitlyn knows that she's in love with it. Yeah, that's when she's making out, and we go to commercial break. And they were left in a bed like she did with Ben. No, we know the other guy likes to close the deal. Describes waking up at 2:30 a.m. with her heart pounding with anxiety. Apparently, she had a late night with the other guy. She meets Schnozzling at Saddle Rock, and she holds back from expressing her love to him as she has in chat. Both actually are drinking beer, so that's kind of weird. So normal. Uh, Class it up, guys. Earlier, awkwardness of the day, which is always kind of awkward when you're with Schnozzling because he always and all that. I mean, in the real world, any girl, this guy was just so unconfident, so jealous. But in a Bachelor, I guess that's endearing. Um, and that is pretty funny. I mean, how unthreatening is Joe? Sales a memory jar. Oh yeah, going creative there, with moments and memories between. Like with the other guy, Shawn actually leaves the room, so Kaitlyn starts crying. So ring picking time. That's always a fun time. So Schnoz picks a ring from a gumball machine if he had to give it to her. That's how. The other guy is, of course, debating and thinking about, if it's going to turn out differently. He actually didn't. He had a knock on the door to tell him, see you later. But the ring guy knocks on the door, so he comes. The other guy is excited to be meeting the ring guy because he didn't get to do it last time. It kind of looks exactly like the one Schnozzling picked, so that'll be something. Decision: who will be this year's winner of the Bachelor? Bachelorette. Yeah, that's right. Added some words to it. So Kaitlyn arrives at the mansion. So now we know this is going to be taking place at the mansion. That is going to be the final location and spot of where things are going to go down and happen. Guess it beats a barn in Iowa, but boy, remember those old locations, guys and gals, when they would go to these exotic locations, Belize, and all these places for the final proposal and ceremony. Even Juan and Pablo season, they had to get by boat to that location. But now we are scaling down on the production and just doing it at the mansion. Back to the beginning. So the limos are arriving. The dudes are usually that's probably not a good thing for him. He doesn't know that, of course, but he goes to meet Kaitlyn in a one-on-one ceremony. She looks uncomfortable. From guy starts, spewing his love and telling her how in love he is with her and how much, and she looks absolutely terrified by that. Which is once out the ring, he actually whips out the ring. She stops him. She puts the brakes on him immediately. Oh, I think the game's over for the other guy at this point, and it was. A stunned other guy gets to find out that not him, certainly. So yeah, the other guy basically looks like he got knocked in the face. And, she starts trying to explain, but he doesn't want to have any of it. He tells her that it was all more than a moment as nice moments. So yeah, even the sex apparently was just a nice moment. Ensues. She tells him she doesn't want to sugarcoat things. He gives her a half-ass hug and walks into the limo, and it's a good one though. He puts the ring into the box, little, including. Okay, so he had two rings. So yeah, the other guy came prepared. He had a promise, and he just tossed the ring. So there goes the same thing with his own promised ring thingy. Yeah, and then he picked. So sore loser maybe. But he does say, "I'm the world's biggest joke now." Of course, proceeds, and Nick's family is in tears, as always. So that's the end of the other guy. He walks up not knowing if he's going to be the one. But she looks thrilled. Unlike to tell her how in love he is with her, she looks mesmerized by him. It's her turn to. He looks terrified. But then she reveals that he's the one for her, and she's after all the chances she gave him, after his paranoid ass couldn't live up and he wanted all along, and finally gets it now. So his life without her, and that he's so excited. And she said he gets a kiss, and she tells him that she loves him, and he and about how in love they are, and they drive away in the limo, and that's the end. That Gosling. And, I think that was pretty predictable from the start. I think Ben Zorn, even Ben H, had a nice run, but ultimately it was going to be them all along. They were the center of attention. They were the center of the drama all along. Everyone was just playing catch up pretty much all along. And it was going to be between Shawn. But it ultimately to them being together. And Nick had the sex. He had, for the time being, kind of guy. But Shawn wins. Nick is a two-time Bills of the early 90s. Just can't get through. Clearly he's going to be next year crashing. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Nick crashed next season's Bachelorette also. Final Row special. That's the big show. This one usually yields more place currently at live, obviously. So they've been few months already. Kaitlyn and Schnozling, they come out on cue, of course. And Schnoz says it was all worth it with all the ups and downs, and there have been a lot of upstink, really. So you wouldn't change her sleeping with Nick, really? I think Snapchat screenshot that the Schnoz posted up for you. So that was pretty neat. I'll say that. That takes some, thinking that, not knowing if he was going to be on a show. Maybe he was in a running in that case. But through to the end and she picked you, so guess there was something to it. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both. After go to commercial break. After break, the other guy, and everyone wants to know how he's doing. Who's now, the other guy's now rocking a fool. Obviously talks about his pre-existing relationship with Kaitlyn. He does confirm the multiple texts, phone announcement that she was picked. He starts bringing up the emotional connections. He asks why he hates Shawn, why Shawn hates him actually so much. Him and Schnozling were both immature and about the situation, and Shawn. And the other guy agrees. So this might end ugly for said yes, but you just did. So then, of course, commercial break. Schnozling comes out and greets him with a handshake, which is, whoa, kind of surprising. You get a handshake. And then, of course, the other guy does something funny, and he introduces himself as Nick. So, give you credit there for the comedy, other guy. So Schnozling answers why he disliked Nick, and he says they never clicked and that he had a bad feeling about him. And the other guy explains that he believes he was just being judged based on last season, which of course he was, obviously, for him not to get to know Shawn. Really? Okay. Which everyone wants to know about. And he denies any jealousy would stemmed, his passion. Okay, he was jealous. We all know that. Schnozling talks about Ben H being his best friend, and that's cool. The other guy explains how he didn't want to hide the fact that he kind of did hide it. Come on, other guy. And Schnozling actually talked about how, and they both agreed they acted immature. And, which is, wow, that's kind of from villains to friends. I still doubt that. I think they really do hate. Kaitlyn comes out to face the other guy. That's the big moment here everyone was waiting for. Of course, the other guy being the other guy. He's making Joe look like the top member, Bumbling Joe, look like a, eloquent speaker and talker. Then you're really. He says that they were in love with each other, which Kaitlyn, only rolls her eyes at that. Whoa. That is, also, in disgust, Yeah, so she does admit to the pre-existing relationship being a factor in their romance kind of blossoming. Was for him, and, to let their pre-existing relationship go, once he found out that, he is glad, though, that he doesn't have to answer the what-if questions of the kind of guy to sit back, Nick. kind of glad also about imagine the boredom would have been like if it was Shawn versus it was okay for him to be there. Chris Harrison to break it to him, and how excruciating it was for her. Then they show the clip of the dismissal, and the other guy talks about previous experience. I don't know what his confidence is coming from, but the other guy did have to her and brought it up, which is something he says he can't take back. It's like the dude's like each ever again a proposal speech, and he wishes that Kaitlyn that she shouldn't have probably, and she would have done things otherly that he was. Um, so then, yeah, he proceeds to wish her good luck. So that's the last of you've seen of the other guy for now. And asks them what's next. And obviously, Kaitlyn just like starts explaining how happy well, yeah, because that's crucial in any relationship. Schnauzing chimes in, public together, and he will not let her be bullied anymore. And he was so hurt by her side, which isn't cool. I mean, in any sense, that people shouldn't have done that. It's taking it too far. They kiss, and more kissing as Harrison tries to close the for Bachelor in Paradise. And this might be the kind of the most its role for the show, and they kind of get up and people from the audience come up and congratulate him. And 100, maybe 95% sure that Schnauzling and Kate, what? How did that happen? Why are they hugging them? That is so bizarre. Why is Shawn weird? So yeah, they ran up to hug him. It's just the most. But yeah, that's how it comes to a conclusion. Nick goes home disappointed once again, and Schnauzling gets Kaitlyn. So I think it came out all right for them. In a nutshell, I think there's just so much drama. They really did things differently. There was no focus on bottom. They would either happen beginning of the show or middle, or that's about it, or early beginning. There was no focus on rose ceremonies. It was all about like the drama and the to be continued, which we saw every week. You had some crazies. Obviously, you had the Koopa, the Clint, the Ian blow-offs on Kaitlyn. You obviously had JJ starting out the season as the villain, and Clint, and then suddenly they were forgotten. And when Nick came in, crashed it in the fourth episode, and just changed things around, then he became the number one villain, and JJ and Clint were just normal then. It was crazy how things just evolved. It felt like it was like 3 or 4 different seasons into one. There's just so many different layers and chapters to this season, and it was really there. But it was really all highlighted with the Shawn and Nick feud. They just hated each other, and definitely the hookup between Kaitlyn and Nick, which really kind of spawned off a few episodes of everyone's disappointment. I mean, you definitely had your fun characters too. You had your Chris the Cupcake dentist. Ben Zorn had a great story. Jared might have been the biggest teenager looking with a horrible man, and he lasted way further than expected. He was one of the top at that connection with Kaitlyn. I mean, he was definitely a nice guy, but she saw something for him. Kind of skidded along and got through the final, all the way to the final 3. And judging, especially on the Men Tell All special, and much not your typical Bachelorette. More wild, more not giving a damn in a sense. She just kind of did her own thing. It was a lot of focus with Nick once he debuted. It was the Nick and Kaitlyn show, and then Schnauzling with his jealousy and cries all the time. So there's a lot of drama on this show. It just seemed it was like a 3-way, and not a threesome you're thinking, but it was just Kaitlyn and versus kind of everyone trying to stop them from fighting with each other, and especially it was the Nick versus Shawn show, and Kaitlyn was just caught in the middle of it. It seemed like throughout the season, but it was a very entertaining season. It was a good season. I mean, they definitely added the drama. I think it was more focus on the drama than the love and stuff, because the rose ceremonies kind of speak for itself. How the focus wasn't just there for that. Once again, production did cut on budgets. Trip to Ireland, New York City, and San Antonio were your highlights. Yeah, not, and of course, Utah, Park City, Utah, I believe was the location. So, And the final rose ceremony was in the mansion. So they really didn't do that much with it, much travels. They really took their sweet time in Ireland, spending a lot of time there. Great sights and great location, but that's pretty much it for their overseas trips. You had some cool, crazy characters also on this season. I mean, you had Tony the Healer. How can you forget Tony the Healer? Just an insane dude. You had your quiet guys like Tanner on the season. Justin was another one. It was some Chicago connection there. Three Chicago guys: Clint, Justin, and well, Nick. And Josh, of course. Who could have forgotten? I thought he would last longer. The surprise of the season kind of was too early on how Josh Sider, Chicago guy, lawyer slash stripper. He had a lot of character to him, but they let him go. Kaitlyn let him go early on. I thought he would stick around. Guy seemed to have a lot of personality. But, you had your surprising Ian turn. He seemed like an educated, quality, quiet type of guy that just blew up on Kaitlyn. So that was out of nowhere. That was surprising, too. Well, this season had a lot. I guess it ended pretty well. Nick is, once again, a loser, which is kind of bittersweet for everyone to watch. I think he kind of asked for it himself, didn't he? I think so. So yeah, Nick gets that, once again, that title of loser on a Bachelorette once again. Oh well, guess it only happens to Nick. But yeah, Shawn and Kaitlyn, we'll see if they last. We'll see what happens. They did contribute to an awesome, entertaining season of The Bachelorette, and that's how it ends. And Bachelor in Paradise coming up next, the review of that season. And that was pretty crazy if you ask me. I think Bachelor in Paradise actually outdid maybe even this season's of Bachelorette. So imagine that. And then, of course, announcement of the new Bachelor. So that's on the next podcast. Review of Bachelor in Paradise and announcement of the new Bachelor. All that coming up. Bachelorette's done. And we will talk to you again. I will talk to you again about Bachelor in Paradise. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.